Okay, let's talk about info on the COVIDawareMN app by myself, Tom Kreuzer. We'll talk a little bit about it. First, a little history about the COVID tracing. There's been hundreds of COVID apps that have been created since March of 2020. Do not use any of these apps except the official COVIDawareMN app. Most of these other apps that were created collect GPS location and other private info that they then sell to third parties. So I'm only endorsing the official COVIDawareMN app that uses the Apple Google API or Application Program Interface to protect your privacy and security. The Apple Google API was designed in May of 2020 and built into both the Apple operating system for the iPhone and Google Android operating system for most of the other phones. And you already have it on your phone. If your phone is up to date, excuse me, you already have the API is on there. It doesn't do anything until you download the app, but you already have the guts of the system and the mechanics are already there. Both companies work together to fund it, cost millions of dollars, to define it and to make the API available. They did it to help the world. Neither company makes any money off of it and was built to protect privacy and security so that your private information is never compromised. It was then up to each state or country, because this is an API that's used around the world, was then responsible to build an app that uses the API. The states can't add or change the defined API or collect personal information. Let's take a look at the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, video. It's 202 minutes and 20 seconds. And this explains some of it.
Battling COVID-19 is an unprecedented global challenge. To get communities around the world back up and running as quickly and safely as possible, public health authorities are building smartphone apps to help with contact tracing. Contact tracing is one of the best ways to stop a virus from spreading. It can take thousands of disease investigators to alert everyone who's been in contact with people who've tested positive. But even if disease investigators do their jobs perfectly, alerting the people a COVID patient doesn't know or can't remember is incredibly difficult. Smartphone apps that public health authorities build can help people at risk of infection get notified much more quickly. But a contact tracing app works best when more people download it. And being asked to download an app without knowing how it will handle your personal information might cause people to worry about their privacy, and they may not feel safe participating. That's why engineers at Apple and Google have been working together to make public health technology that protects individual privacy, so that people never have to choose between their privacy and the health and safety of their community. You're probably wondering what that means and how that all works, and we're going to walk you through it in a second, but first let's be really clear about a couple things. First, apps using this system cannot track your location. And second, this system does not share your identity with Google, Apple, or other users. Here's how that works. For every phone that's opted in, our technology disguises your identity by generating a random sequence of numbers that change every few minutes. Then, using Bluetooth, anytime your phone detects another phone close by that's also opted in, the two exchange those random numbers. If in the future someone's positive for COVID-19, they can report that positive result in their app. Any phones that had exchanged random numbers in the last 14 days will receive a notification that they may have been exposed to COVID-19 without revealing their identity. Public health authorities can then help anyone at risk get testing and treatment. But it's up to all of us to help with contact tracing. Do your part and look for your public health authority app that uses this exposure notifications system. The more people who participate, the sooner we can beat COVID-19 and get our communities back on their feet.
Okay, let's take a look at another video. This is by the state of Minnesota, just explaining the COVIDawareMN. It's about 45 seconds.
What if you test positive for COVID-19? You might tell your friends, coworkers, family, but what about the people you've been near that you don't know? COVIDawareMN is an app that notifies you if you've been near someone who tested positive for COVID-19. If you test positive, you can use the app to anonymously notify anyone you've been near. COVIDawareMN is free through the App Store and Google Play. It doesn't track your location or share your identity. The more people who download the app, the better it works. Let's be COVID aware, Minnesota. Download the app today.
Okay, those are a couple of good, and we'll go into a little more detail on some of the stuff. First, we'll start out with the COVIDawareMN app. When you download it and install it, you do not set up an account or enter any personal information. So it doesn't ask for an email, doesn't ask you to create an account, doesn't use any password. There is no personal information that's stored in the app or available there. The state never knows who has the app or who does not. It does know how many people have downloaded the app, just like every other app. When you go out to the App Store and download, you'll see the number of downloads that have been done, but it doesn't know individually who has downloaded it and who hasn't. The API, that Google Apple API, uses Bluetooth to define interactions. It does not use your GPS or location services. So this whole collecting of information does not use the information there. It only logs exposure between two people with the COVIDawareMN app or another state's app. So you don't need to load multiple apps from multiple states. They will talk to each other, but you want to usually download the one for the state that you're in. The app provides three main functions. It logs interactions as defined by distance and time, and that being if you were within 6 feet of somebody else for 15 minutes and that person also has the app, it'll log that you were interacting with each other, and they'll keep track of that. The second function that it does is if you test positive, you can optionally report that you were positive using a positive COVID verification code provided by the Minnesota Public Health Contact Tracer. So you go into the app and report that you were positive. You have to put in a code. This code is only given out by the Minnesota Public Health Contact Tracer. This means that somebody can't fake a positive to scare other people or people that they were near to there. The third function is notification of when you were exposed to a positive test and what to do next. It cannot tell you who might have exposed you to it. It only will tell you that you were close to somebody within the 6 feet for 15 minutes of somebody who eventually tested positive. Okay, let's talk about how it works. So when you are within the defined distance and time of somebody else with the app, it logs that a random code for you that changes every 10 to 20 minutes, a random code for the person that you're near or the phone that you're near, that also changes every 10 to 20 minutes, the date of the exposure. There is no personally identifiable or location information is collected, stored, or exchanged with anyone. So it doesn't know where this interaction took place. It doesn't know who the person was that you were near, and it's not identifying you. It's using random codes. The data is stored locally on your phone and not sent to any server or service. It uses no cell phone data or Wi-Fi connection for this function. So it's not sending the data from your phone up to another server somewhere or halfway around the world. It's not sending it anywhere. The data does not take up much memory on your phone because it's only this random code for you, random code for who you were close to, and the date that it was. And the data itself is deleted after 14 days. So it only keeps 14 days worth of data. It has very little effect on the battery life because it really isn't doing much. The app isn't doing much. It does use Bluetooth, which most people leave on all the time for connections to their headphones, earpods, cars, speakers, and other devices there. Okay, on a daily basis, your phone downloads a list of all the codes with positive COVID-19 cases and checks them against the list of codes your phone has encountered in the last 14 days. The app will then notify you if you have been exposed to the coronavirus. If there is a match, the app will notify you with further instructions from the Minnesota Department of Health about what you need to do to keep you and the people around you safe. Namely, get a test, quarantine yourself until you get the results, but only you will know. It doesn't get reported to the state, doesn't get reported to the person you were in contact with, doesn't get reported to a third party. No one will know that you've been exposed except yourself. If you are tested positive, you can then use the app to report a positive COVID verification code, which is provided by the Minnesota Public Health Contact Tracer. So if you test positive and you want to let the people that you are close to know, you would enter that into the app. It would then send out notifications to the people that you are close to. Now that code, somebody cannot fake that code. So a user can't fake a positive to try and scare people. They can only get the code from the Minnesota Health Contact Tracer. So to recap, the COVID-Aware Minnesota app does not collect, track, or store your location, GPS information, or personal information. There's none of that out there. Unfortunately, adoption is low and will remain low in the United States because many people fear misuse of the data, which they shouldn't, because as I've told you, a great deal of effort has gone into making this safe and secure, and it's impossible to misuse the data there. Some countries have mandated the use of the control to control the spread. In the U.S., it is optional, which is still better than trying to guess a fraction of the people you might have been near. So currently, if you're not using the app your only thing is your memory, trying to remember where you were and who you might have been close to there to let them know that they should get tested and should be quarantined there. This system is so safe that I will bet anyone $1,000 that their data is safe and not used by any third party. So if you believe that this is some way for Apple or Google or the state to collect information about you, bet me $1,000 and I will be the one collecting the $1,000 from you, because there is no data to steal that can be tied to a person or that has any value. If you do want to worry about your privacy and information or security, worry about every other app that you have on your phone or the sites that you go out and use, or Facebook or other social media. It is good for you and it's good for the people who get near you. So please load this to help everybody out there. Please install and use it. Okay, now I'll open it up for questions. I'm going to stop the recording here.